of time, I'm going to defer asking questions myself and just put questions to the audience.
You talked, Jeffrey, about, how did you put it? The heavy appetite, to quote you, for BVI companies in Hong Kong or in Asia. Only on, I think it was over the weekend, there was an announcement that Li Ka-shing, who's the richest man in Hong Kong, has made Cayman. He's moved his empire, or a lot of it, from Hong Kong to Cayman. How do you comment on that in light of your comment that BVI, there's this big appetite for using BVI companies?
Yeah, thank you. I still stand by that statement. The reason being, in terms of the structuring of the deals and what we've seen, Cayman, Bermuda, Jersey, Isle of Man, they might have been the ultimate parent, but you'd invariably have BVI, intermediate holding companies. And I'm sure Li Ka-shing, he might be moving his ultimate holding companies to Cayman, but the likelihood is he'll still retain a lot of BVI companies in his structure. However, you're absolutely right, and make no mistakes about it. The BVI's biggest competitor and our biggest threat in relation to offshore jurisdictions is in fact Cayman. Certainly when I was in Hong Kong, we saw, for instance, the demand for Bermuda listing companies, which have been at the forefront in the early 1990s, fall back. Cayman was taking the lead, and we've seen more and more of that in structurings for specific products as well. Things like funds, clearly, limited partnerships. And one of the reasons I suspect for that is that Cayman has a broader stable of products. In terms of the structured finance, structured products sector, they have vehicles that serve those clients better. And I believe that the way in which we in the BVI can deal with it is to build our product of stable of products.
If I might speak about that as well. Not surprisingly, we have considerable experience of Li Ka-shing's business empire, and I can promise you he still has many BVI companies within his structures. I don't actually see that as too much of a problem that he's moved his top list co to a Cayman entity. And I think that and the Alibaba development, and I don't know how many people know this, but when Alibaba listed on the New York Stock Exchange, when you bought those shares, you did not buy shares in Alibaba. You actually bought shares in a Cayman Islands company. And I think these things are actually positive developments. That these are the largest financial transactions that are taking place in the world, and they're taking part. They're being conducted in offshore financial centers. Yes, if Cayman gets a win over us, fine, great for Cayman. But the point is that the offshore financial centers are critical to and tied up within the financial center, and that this is all good press. So when people talk about Alibaba, that's a Cayman entity that people are investing in, and I think that that's actually good for the broader jurisdiction. And if Cayman win one, we're going to win the next one. I have every confidence in that.
Okay, I had a conversation this morning with Ron, and I understand, I know there's client privilege, but that you were also involved in the Li Ka-shing transaction. So I would like to invite you to also make a comment on Lorna's question.
No pressure. I guess I would stress the importance of being involved with the investment bankers and being first in line. Without telling too many stories here, I think it's public information. If you went back and looked at what's happened with the Hong Kong companies that are trying to move for obvious reasons, you'll find that there's been about 50 now. Obviously, he's the biggest. Obviously, he's the most significant. Of the 50, I think the number was 47 or 48 have gone to Cayman, and only 2 or 3 have come here. And the problem was that in terms of getting regulatory approval, nobody wanted to rock the boat. Everybody wanted to go with the way that was more obvious and had been done before. So that, I guess the message to some extent is it's very important in all of these things to be different than the other jurisdictions and to get there first. And as I say, the investment bankers were adamant that it be Cayman because they thought they had a much better chance of getting the appropriate regulatory approvals that were required to make the announcements.
One more question. Omaniki?
Good question. I was referring to people who are not here, who are key people in the industry who are not here, but who could come here. I was playing golf in St. Thomas on Saturday, because I can't play golf here. I was playing golf in St. Thomas on Saturday and bumped into, and almost literally bumped into, some American guys on the golf course in St. Thomas who had just moved to St. Thomas. And they were fund managers. They were basically a single family office. And they had moved their operations, lock, stock, and barrel, to St. Thomas as an EDC, an economic development company, which was something that was sponsored by the US Congress. So they've come there with their families, they've come with their business operations, they're employing local people, all of those sorts of things because there are advantages for them to do that. So those are the sorts of things that I'm talking about, that people that we target, maybe not corporate service providers because we have lots of expertise there, but maybe family offices, maybe fund managers, or all of these sorts of people where perhaps we're not as strong and we're not as strongly resourced. For example, I think we're very well resourced in litigators and corporate lawyers. Do we need to target those? No, we have an excellent breadth and depth of expertise in that area. Do we have a strong fund administration business? Do we have fund managers here? No, we don't. Do we have, how's our captive insurance market doing? Not so well. So can we kickstart some of those and invite some people here, make them have financial advantages, smooth the passage out, and then go from there? So that's what I was referring to, if that's helpful.
Thank you, Simon. Elise?
Yeah. In addition to what Simon said, St. Thomas is the U.S. Virgin Islands is opening up, but also Puerto Rico is also going bigly, in big terms after the fund business. And so that is something we also have to be watch at. I just wanted to conclude my point by saying that we often say that 60 cents of every dollar that the government has in terms of its revenues comes from the financial services industry. And while we don't have the clear statistics on how much of that business comes from Asia, we say at least 40% of the financial services business comes from the Asia Pacific region. And that means 25 cents, or about 25 cents out of every dollar of the BVI's financial services business and the BVI's government revenues is directly related to what we do in Asia. So what we do in Asia is very important. The Commission has also established a presence there. We have Michelle Georges there, and she's a regulator to be more responsive. We have the Commission. We work very closely with the practitioners, and I think one of the advantages that we have as a jurisdiction where some of the other jurisdictions that are on the rise don't have, if we have a very wide network, as Jeffrey talked about, a very wide network of practitioners, law firms, accountants, who have been doing BVI business going back 25 years. So some of these other jurisdictions cannot do these major leakage transactions and listings and so forth that the BVI can do, and that is something we need to capitalize and build on. And I think also that we have to be very, very nimble, as many of the practitioners have said, in terms of our response to the Asia market, and to really take seriously the work that we're doing over there, and make sure that we can give that 5-minute speech about what we do in Asia. Thank you.
Thank you. Lunchtime is over. It's 1:25. Thank you, Simon, Jeffrey, for condensing everything, but still making a very comprehensive and interesting presentation. Elise, thank you for your very valuable input.